Right, so the stock is done. That's hanging up there curing. So it's time to move on to stage 2, which is the barrel and action. As you can see, that's seen better days. There's no real shine left on there, lots of rust and pitting. So it's going to get all of this off, trigger mechanism off, really manky old grease in there, so give it all a tidy up, get that spring out of there and the piston, give it as good a clean up as I can, get it back together and hopefully get a little bit more life into it. So yeah, stage 2 now, the barrel and the metal oily bits. Done the wooden bit, now doing the metal bits. So here's what's going to be going in. A new mainspring, piston sleeve there, and a seal which is in that one, courtesy of V Mach tuning. Nice people at Blackpool Air Rifle sent me this. So this is going to be the new internals. Get the old lot out, get the new bits in, breathe some life into it. So the trigger's off the gun. That's it there. That's it set. It's a bit greasy and manky. Let's just pull it. There you go. So the sears, if I can get it focused. Come on, you can focus, you can focus, you can do it. Sears aren't great, there's a little bit of wear, there we go, so there's some wear there. A little bit of uneven wear on that. And it's generally in a fairly poor state. Look at all that grease in there. So it needs a good clean. So next time we see this, it'll be nice and polished and ready to go. I don't know about knocking all the pins out and doing everything internally. Might just give everything a bit of a rub down while it's all still assembled. Haven't decided yet. I don't think I've got a punch small enough to take these little pins out, to be honest. So there you go, one trigger mechanism. Dirty, needs a clean. So we'll get to that. Alright, trigger group all cleaned up. Looking much healthier in there now. Nice shiny finish on the sear. Underneath there, on the top. It's pretty good, it's come out quite nice. I haven't gone too nuts with it, just got all the grease off. Giving everything a good once over. Bit of a sand down to 1200 grit on the touching surfaces. So we'll call that a mild tune, I suppose, a mild trigger tune. Good clean up. And a good polish on the sears. In there especially needed a really good clean. So that's come out not too bad. Fairly pleased with it. Yeah, done alright. Done alright. Right, finally got it all apart. So there's the old piston and in there. That's the sear that goes onto the trigger. Rusty and scratched and full of manky old oil. That's the bit that you see at the top, at the breech. So that's, you can see all the rust on there. Finally got it out. What a nightmare to get out. Absolutely jam solid it was, but it's out now. So here's the old spring and the guide rod and everything. This is the new one from V Mach, which is going to go in. Got a bit shorter. I'm sure they know what they're doing and it's shorter for a good reason. But yeah, a bit strange anyway that it's shorter, but I suppose they know. So the ends have been polished. There's some washers are going to go in. which are also polished. So yeah, time to start cleaning up the inside of this and cracking on with it. So here we go, job done finally. Last major bit to do has been done, which is cracking off that awful thing there. So now it's just tidying it all up, cleaning it, get the new bits in. Brilliant. Alright, so we're going to have a look at the closer look at the bits now. So there's the piston, bit grotty in there, bit rusty, just needs a good sort out, and there's the old seal covered in oil on the front of it, so I wonder it was smoking a little bit. And there's the external bit, and that's the bit that you can see from the breech, so that really needs a good going over. Inside there, you're not going to see in there I don't think, but yeah, it needs a good clean in there. So get around to doing all that. That's going to be the job for today. There is the old mainspring, bit manky looking, definitely needs ditching, so we're going to do that. This is the new mainspring. This is the V Mach mainspring. Polished the ends, that's down to about 1200 grit there, so that makes that a little bit, hopefully a bit less friction as it twists and turns. Hopefully going to reduce the twanging when the gun shoots, because the spring won't be torquing as much, it'll just be compressing rather than torquing too much and helping the rebound. So we'll see. I don't know if it's going to make that much difference really, but who knows, who knows. We're going to go with 2 washers in the front and the spacer in the rear. The washers have been polished up as well. These are the unpolished ones, the extra ones in the kit, which I'm not going to use. 2 apparently is enough. There are 2 in the front and then 1 in the rear. Yeah, now it's cleaning time. Right, polishing done. It's looking much better. It's got the new piston seal on it. It's all polished up. The sear's been polished to 1200 grit. I haven't gone nuts with polishing everywhere else. I've only gone to I think 800 grit on here, and only very briefly at that. All the polishing that I've done around rather than up and down. The reason being, I've had some advice from the guy that puts these V Mach kits together, a guy called Steve Pope, who says that too much polishing and too much of a mirror finish can hamper the oil from lubricating everything properly. If it's too shiny, the oil's got nothing to stick to, and then you, contrary to what you might think, you don't get as much lubrication as you need because everything is so shiny that the oil doesn't stick to it. So I haven't gone nuts with the polishing, just enough to take the burrs off, get all the old oil off and give it a little bit of a shine, so it feels smooth to the touch, but it's not so smooth that I'm going to have problems with the oil sticking. And again, all the polishing I've done around it, the idea being on a very sort of close level. On a microscopic level, you've got lines going across, which will hopefully help the oil stay on the tube. And again, with the actual breech face, that's all done. This was the bit that is visible in the breech that goes inside here. That was the bit that was all rusty on this bit here. Again, this bit here has been polished to 800. Down here where it's actually visible, I have polished it to 1200 because I wanted a better shine on the bit that you could see. Again, all the polishing has been done around rather than up and down. In there's had a good clean out, but I don't think you'll be able to see that in there. It's going to be a bit too dark. But it's had a good polish inside there as well. I haven't gone nuts, just enough. There you go, you can see the difference in shine there between the front and the back. The back's only done to 600, the front has done to 1200. And you can see there, when you hold the, point it down, you can see the line where one end is much shinier than the other. And that's because one end's going to be visible and one end isn't. So the next step is putting it all back together. So yeah, that's the job for today now, is put it all back together. A couple of O-rings which have been polished, a mainspring which has been polished, the end there has been polished. So all the surfaces where anything moves together or twists or turns together has been polished as much as possible without, as I've just said, making it too tricky for the oil to actually stick and lubricate the way it's supposed to. So there, reassembly time now. Well, so it's all back together. Everything that's greased has been greased. Everything that's polished has been polished. Here's the last bit now. This is the V Mach mainspring. 2 pre-compression washers, the guide, the spring lubricated, and the Derlin spacer at the end. All ready to go in. That's it. Now we just got to screw it back together and we are job done. There's 3 washers left. I put in 2, which is the recommended amount. I've also put the Derlin spacer in just to give me hopefully a little bit extra. I use quite heavy grain pellets, so I don't fire anything too light and fast. I prefer heavy and slow. Seems to give me better accuracy at the range that I shoot at, so the spacer there give me a little bit extra velocity for the pellets that I shoot, and because I know I don't shoot anything lighter, I should be okay with the 12 foot-pounds limit, but we'll get it tested just to be safe. So now it's screwing it back together and then it's done.